To order for the Finance Committee for November 17, 2021. And do we have any public comment for today? None? Thank you. And then item 1 for discussion is our workers' comp insurance renewal. And with that, Jeffrey?
Good afternoon, how's everybody?
Great, how are you?
Good. Depends on what you're about to tell us.
Well,
Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you.
yes, sir. This is just a meeting to quick go over to set the table for next month. The renewal is 1/1. The sheet I gave you is just showing our history with our work comp. And if you look down at the bottom for the year 21-22, this will explain why I felt we needed to lay some groundwork before next month's meeting so we didn't just drop a big, it's going up and here's why. So y'all have some early warning. But if you look in the total losses, that's the big column for us. As y'all know, workers' comp goes off how we perform, frequency, severity, and then of course the cost of payroll. And as you'll see this year, and we've still got a month and a half left, has not been a stellar year for us. We've got 382,000 in losses. 217 of that is one single car accident, and then a couple of medium-sized losses. But with that happening, we're going to see an increase this year. Claims are up, as you can see on the total number of claims columns. We're up from 11 last year to 19 this year. That's 64%. We had 44,000 in loss 2021, and now we're at 382. So what's that? Almost 900% increase. So the things that the comp carriers look at, we did not perform. So we've been with Zenith since 2009. They've always done a good job. Our long track record helps smooth some of these rough bumps we have from time to time. As you can see, the highlighted in yellow loss ratios we've had over the years. But every year I'm told to market the account. So we are in the process of marketing. We don't have any quotes in yet, but we do know it's going to be an increase. And some of the feedback I'm getting from our agent on the marketing is because it's been with Zenith since 2009, and we market it every year to these companies, a lot of them are getting tired of giving a quote because they always lose. So we might not have the stack of quotes that we normally have next month as well, because some of them are just, you never give me a shot, so we're not going to quote it. But we will have some choices. But we didn't want to walk in December and say, hey, we've got a $40,000 or $60,000 increase. Here's why. I hope you can choose and vote tomorrow. We wanted to give y'all plenty of heads up on it. Looking over all of that, does anybody have any questions or see anything glaring that they would like more insight on?
Just a couple of thoughts.
Yes, sir.
Regarding the events that we see here. You have 5 different examples
Yes, sir.
that we've had this year. How do those events line up with our safety program and engaging folks and helping them to understand, number one, how to eliminate some of these possibilities?
Good question. With what joint water does, we always shoot for 0. I mean, every company should shoot for 0, but y'all's jobs involve water, waste, trenching, confined space. We're going to have things from time to time, and how many vehicles are on the road all day, every day?
60 or 70?
60 to 70. So we're going to have issues. 2 of these are from car accidents. One was a single vehicle accident. The other, the 64,000 with the shoulder injury, it was not our fault. We're hoping to subrogate that, which will alleviate that number when that claim is fully done. But in Georgia, there's no guarantee in subrogation. Sometimes you can get it, sometimes you can't. If the person's not made whole, they don't grant it. So we're still hoping that that's going to lower the number, and we're only going to take the hit on this year. The $217,000 claim does have some reserves on it. That's not total paid out. It's just starting, he's back regular duty, but it's just starting to get the last bills in and slowly get that one closed so we can see what the true number is. So if we get that one subrogated and the single car down some with reserves, it will help us more for next year, but this year they have us. But as far as the safety program goes, the 2 car accidents, one was not our fault, one, the gentleman lost consciousness, not much on that. We do the back training. We've even had some shoveling safety topics in the past. And that was the 30,000 one there at the bottom. You know, we try to do a couple of back things a year, but as guys age or early in the morning or haven't stretched well enough, I mean, things happen. But as far as the major ones here, nothing jumps off the page at me as something that the safety program let us down on.
Let me see if I can realign some of your thoughts.
Okay.
I've worked in the industry over 40 years, in the utility industry specifically. Water, gas, and electric. And I've worked in companies and in groups where we had 0 events.
Yes, sir.
None OSHA reportable. No accident reports. And in my view, that was a focus on the employee and at-risk behaviors. So please don't misunderstand my comments, and I don't mean to be casting cold water on anyone here, but 0 is possible. And if we go into a year and our mantra is 0, we can get there. I take exception when somebody tells me things are going to happen. Things don't happen without cause or at-risk behaviors. So my view is we need to address our approach and delivery of our safety instruction. We need to follow up with observations by all supervision of our employees so that our employees are not injured. And it is possible to go 0. So for future presentations, please don't tell me things are going to happen, because I know it's possible to prevent all of them. I've been there. There are other utilities in this community that have more people, more vehicles, and more exposure because of the numbers, and they go 0. So that's our goal in my view. And the numbers will take care of themselves in terms of the cost of the insurance. I get that. I get the experience rated, and I fully understand that it's going to be an increase. Ultimately, it's a reflection into our consumers, our customer base. So let's be sure that our focus is on at-risk behaviors, and if we can eliminate those at-risk behaviors, then this won't be a conversation every year.
Yes,
that's where I'm coming from. Thank you.
And I do apologize for that comment. And I did try to institute a supervisor accountability program after the 2017 incident, and you know, it took root for about a month and then fluttered away. But I agree, that's where it all starts and ends, is on boots on the ground, the supervisors that are watching the crews work. I do agree with you there. And again, my apologies. Any other questions or comments?
Thank you, Jeffrey. Appreciate what you bring to us.
We'll see y'all next month and have some concrete numbers.
Good. Thank you very much. Well, we have an approval list here with Commissioner Stevens being held up from attending for now. What I'd like to do, Mayor, if you will volunteer to be our third appointed member for the
Sure will.
committee today, that'll allow us to move ahead on approval items that we need to do.
Yes, sir. I volunteer to be added as a member of this committee for this meeting.
Thank you, Mayor. We have item number 1. That's the minutes for the meeting of October 20th.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes as presented.
Second.
Questions or comments or additions? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, show of hands, please. Passes 3-0. And item 2, Francis, will you talk to us about Christmas card gifts?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. The item before us is Christmas gift cards. In the past years, the Commission has gifted the employees a $25 Walmart gift card. The cost of this card for this year is included in the budget. The cards will be distributed on December the 3rd along with payroll. So the staff recommends the Commission provide employees with a gift card in the amount of $25 to be used at Walmart or Sam's. We're requesting 134 cards for a total of $3,350.
I'd like to make a motion that the Finance Committee recommend that the full commission review and approve providing employees with a gift card in the amount of $25 to Walmart. The total number of cards would be 134 for a cost of $3,350.
I second that.
Any questions or comments?
Yes, sir. I have one. I would like to see if we can make that a $50 gift card. I think we're always talking about how good our employees are, and now we have an opportunity to show them. Even though I know we give them a Christmas luncheon and so forth and all that, but I think to just show that how well we appreciate them to be a $50 gift card. If $3,000 is it seems to be nominal for the service that we get from our employees. And I'm always talking about how good they are. So I think we can do that. And now if it's going to be a problem, I see our executive director is shaking his head. It won't be a problem.
It won't be a problem.
But I would like to see if we can do $50, commissioners.
Okay, we simply need a motion to reflect that.
Okay. Well, would you amend your motion, sir?
I'd be glad to, yes. I'll make a motion that the Finance Committee recommend the full commission review and approve providing employees with a gift card in the amount of $50 to Walmart. The total number of cards would be 134 for a cost of
$6,700.
Yes. I second that motion.
Any questions, comments, or amendments, please? Hearing none, all those in favor? It carries 3-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, for your leadership there.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Item 3 is our intergovernmental agreement between Glynn County and our utility. Charles?
Yes, sir. Glynn County, the county, was granted $16.5 million of coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds under the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. Federal aid from the U.S. Treasury provides funds for a goal of addressing public needs that have been highlighted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Under the ARPA, Glynn County is authorized to issue subawards, including but not limited to awards for necessary investments in water and sewer infrastructure in Glynn County. Because of that, the county has decided to award JWSC $4 million. And according to the agreement, the county will provide that $4 million in 2 equal installments of $2 million each. And the JWSC will be able to use these funds to make necessary investments in water and sewer infrastructure. Most notably, the county's village drainage improvement project, Phase 3, which is included as one of the mandatory items in the agreement.
We have some water improvements in that area, which replace some transite lines back behind the village, Butler and Lord Avenues. So we were already planning on doing this project. The county is using ARPA funding to do the stormwater portion of that work and the paving portion of that work, and has requested, as a condition of this $4 million, that we use the money to do our portion of the work. Estimated cost is about $200,000 of water and sewer funds for that. So that would leave us a balance of $3.8 million for other projects.
I'd like to make a motion that the Brunswick-Glynn County Joint Water and Sewer Commission Finance Committee forward to the full commission the intergovernmental agreement with Glynn County for the award of funds to the BGJWSC under the American Rescue Act of 2021 with a recommendation to approve the same.
Second.
Okay, discussion. Question. Charlie, with regard to the 2 installments, is there a timeline expected for that?
Yes, the first installment would be paid prior to January 1st, 2022, and the second installment prior to January 1st, 2023.
Okay. All right, and then, so we would apply these to projects that we already have prepared, and this would just be a different funding bucket for those.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Now, is the documentation for our investment any different than what we do?
Essentially like using SRF funds for federal fund. It's the same federal funding requirements as what we use through the GFA loans.
Okay.
So all the advertisement requirements and documentation requirements that go into that, the contractors have to pay the prevailing wage, Davis-Bacon wages. We have to confirm all that. But it's just like using SRF money.
And is, other than the project in the village, in concert with the county's stormwater improvement project, then there's no limitation on that other 3.8 million. So in that regard, we could use it for any projects that we have in process, perhaps, whether it's purchasing equipment, pipes, or labor to upgrade the same.
That's correct. They're in the county, yes, sir. It could, yes, sir. It could go for those projects.
Well, I mean, the county has covered everything.
Mhm.
So we could use it geographically
That's true.
anywhere in the
City or the county.
city
because-
or the
because
county. I
it's-
mean,
it's
no
all in the
limitation
county.
there.
Capital improvements
Yeah.
only.
Okay.
Yeah, the only limitations, it has to be for capital improvements. We can't buy trucks with it, but we can, any infrastructure improvements.
Right. I was thinking of, we had a brief discussion in the last meeting about a dryer.
Right.
Okay. That's
What's her name, Sarah?
Sarah.
well, it'd be her cousin.
Oh, okay. It was a different name.
Well, it'd be the second dryer.
Oh, okay.
Hey, I'm gonna
Second
if we get a
dryer
second
at,
dryer, I'm letting Mr. Alvin name it, okay?
Academy.
Okay.
Okay. All right, well, that's, I'm just trying to ferret out to understand openly here if we had limitations, what those would be, because I'm sure that's going to generate some interest in a positive way for us as to what we choose
Sure.
and how we apply those funds. Other thoughts or conversation about this?
I'd like to thank the county commission for considering us and passing the money along, because it's a very good investment in the community.
So noted.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second before us. Hearing no other comments or questions, I'll call the question for the vote. All those in favor? That passes 3-0.
And it is on the county's agenda to approve the agreement tomorrow night.
Terrific, great timing. Okay, item 4 is the ARCO Area Water and Sewer Extension Contract.
Yes, sir. We accepted bids on the ARCO project. This will be installing gravity sewer and some water access for those customers. There's about 400 properties in there that would be able to access water and sewer following completion of this project. We received 2 bids, with the low bid being UWS at a total of $3,655,749.60. We received, the other bid was substantially higher. Had some questions about that at the facilities meeting. The UWS bid is in line with our original project estimate of $3.5 million. It is a 240-day contract if awarded. We have $3.5 million in allocated funding from the capital reserve, and the additional $155,749.60 would be funded from the Series 2021 bond issue that we recently completed. UWS does have a subcontractor involved with this that they have notified us of, and that subcontractor we have done extensive work with. This will be our first project with UWS. We have checked references with multiple utilities throughout the state and have received nothing but positive feedback on this, on their capabilities. We will be, it's 240 calendar day contract. We'll be scheduling the notice to proceed if awarded based off of the availability of pipe. We don't want to enter into a contract and then immediately be 12 weeks behind schedule because pipe can't get here. So we'll slide that notice to proceed based off pipe availability.
What was the number of people that could potentially connect?
400 properties.
400 properties.
When do you anticipate the pipe coming in there?
And the deliveries on pipes are about 12 to 16 weeks.
So we still have to wait right now, you say?
Right. We'd have to, if the contract's awarded, the contractor would order the pipe. So let's say the contract's awarded tomorrow and we get contract signed early December, you're looking at probably March getting started on the actual installs because of pipe delivery.
And then it's 240 days after that.
240 days after that, yes, sir. Take 240 days to put the
By
pipe
year end,
in.
we could be substantially complete on that
I would
project.
expect to be complete by year end, yes, sir.
I'd like to offer a motion. I move that the Finance Committee recommend the full commission award a contract for the construction of the ARCO area water and sewer extensions to UWS Incorporated in the amount of $3,655,749.60.
A second.
Okay, and just noteworthy, this passed the Facilities Committee in their meeting. So any other comments or questions about the project? Okay, I'll call a question for the vote. All in favor? Carries 3-0. Thank you. And then item 5 for approval is our AMI metering replacement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, for those of you who were not able to attend the Facilities Committee meeting, I'll still try to bring you up to speed. You may recall in July of last year, we awarded a contract to Delta Municipal Supply Company for the replacement of all of our meters within our system, as well as providing us with an advanced metering infrastructure and a meter data management system. That contract contained both a fixed price provision and a not to exceed allowance. The not to exceed allowance was for unknowns within the installations, whereas the fixed price was for the meter and the installation of the meter itself. When I say unknowns for the installation, I mean items such as whether or not the curb stop would be required. We do want to have backflow preventers at all of our installations, so that would be part of it. Whether or not a new meter box would need to be provided or a hole cut in the existing meter lid. And then we had landscaping issues at some of these locations and what I'll call non-traditional installations. And when I say non-traditional installations, I've brought a few pictures to share with you. Got Mr. Burrow's pictures in here as well. This is a close-up of what I'll call a yoke bar or a yoke setter. These particular installations were used when the county replaced these meters back about 15 years ago. You'll notice there that basically the meter has fused to what looks like a vise, for lack of a better term. That's just happening over years, and there was nothing that we really could have done to prevent that because we don't go to these meters on a regular basis. This is a radio read system whereby we drive by, gather the readings that way. So there's nothing that has happened as a result of lack of maintenance on the part of the utility. That's just the aging of the meter and what happens over the years. But because of this type of installation, we have ended up with more of the unknowns in our system than were originally anticipated. When we gathered the bids from the particular bidders, we wanted to have a consistent basis for comparison. So we had them provide us with a schedule of pricing, and we had to make some estimates based on the information that we did know at the time as far as what was in our system. Unfortunately, the estimates that we made were low. As we went out into our system and were actually doing the installations with the replacement, we noticed a larger quantity of these types of installations than we had originally anticipated. We were, as a result, using the not to exceed allowance at a faster rate than we were making installations into the system, and we recognized that would be a problem with the project. So instead of continuing at that pace, what we decided to do was to take a temporary pause, take a step back, ask our contractor, instead of concentrating your efforts on the installation of the meters, instead go out and do a full system audit for us. Go to every single location within our system, let us know which of these items will be needed for installation, what type of labor will be involved. And as a result of that audit, they brought back, in your read-ahead packet, I did include 2 pages of the excerpt there. Didn't want to give you the full 388-page report, but wanted you to have an idea of the type of data that we did collect. So you'll see there, they went literally to every location within our system. There were a few that they couldn't locate. They have given us an estimate based on the percentages at other locations. And as a result of those audits, we now have a much more complete overall picture of what our JWSC system needs are. We have also updated the calculations associated with that not to exceed allowance. And again, being mindful of the funds that are entrusted to us by our ratepayers, we wanted to make sure that we were mindful of spending those funds wisely. So the requested change order that's in front of you, I understand, is a large amount, and I can understand if you take pause, and I hope you do, because we want to make sure that we are good stewards of those funds. But I can also assure you that we now have 2 distinct advantages as a result of gathering that audit data and having this information available to us now. Those being, first of all, now our installer can expedite their field work. They know what's ahead of them. They know how to plan their labor resources, their materials. They can work more expeditiously than was originally planned. As a result of this, we also have the ability to put in placeholder orders for all of the materials and supplies that we will now need throughout the life of the project. You've heard several times us mention supply chain issues, pricing uncertainties. We now have the ability to address that with this information. We can go ahead and place these orders for all of the materials and supplies that we'll need throughout the remainder of this work. And as a matter of fact, we have been informed that if we choose not to go ahead and place these orders now, at the end of this calendar year, we can, off the bat, expect an 18% pricing increase. That 18% pricing increase is only good until the end of March 2022. And at that particular time, there will be another pricing increase considered. So as you see, now if we have that information available to us, we know what we need throughout the project, this is the time to make those decisions. I would also like to ask at this point that a minor but important revision be made to the recommended motion. The amount that we're requesting is a not to exceed amount. This is not fixed cost. There's no guarantee that we are paying all of this to the contractor. So if that recommended motion could be modified to say, starting with change order 1, change order number 1 in the not to exceed amount, I would greatly appreciate your consideration.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to offer a motion. I move that the Finance Committee recommend the full commission approve change order number 1 in the amount not to exceed $3,287,712.60 to the Delta Municipal Supply Company's AMI water meter replacement contract.
Thank you.
Second.
Just of note, this was approved in the in the Facilities Committee last. A couple of comments, if I may offer. The 100% audit we did of the field conditions remaining for the meters, that was done on behalf of our contractor at no cost to us thus far. It's within the current scope of their work.
Within the current scope of their work, yes, sir. And I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to thank them, because what has happened is, instead of them having consistent revenue for meter installations during this period when they were doing these audits between May and October, instead of having that level of revenue, they've had to drop back to the point that they're only charging us for the audit portion of that work, which is considerably less. So I appreciate the flexibility that not only Delta, but their subs, Neptune as the supplier and M&E Construction as the installer, have done to work with us. And I greatly do appreciate their partnership in this.
And then another thought is when we did the original scoping for the project, if I remember correctly, we made our estimate based on reasonable sampling.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
And then now, fast forward, we've determined that even with the sampling that we did, which is generally quite good, we found that the conditions were much different. So now that's why the significant change in this project.
Absolutely correct. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
So I got a
Thank
question.
you.
How much of a change is this?
It was originally about a $14.5 million contract, so 3.2 on 14 would be a little north of 20%.
Question to you, sir. If I notice we have a number of outstanding capital projects going. Around about how much is that?
We've got 66 million in total budgeted capital projects right now, of which about 30 million has been completed. So we've got about 36 million in outstanding capital projects right now.
Okay, thank you.
And another note is, I like your approach on this, is that this particular activity doesn't compete with the other significant capital projects that we have. Completely different resources. So it's not like it's going to be two pipe contractors that are trying to juggle multiple projects. It's
All right.
And I think the other note is that these meters are going underground, and they're going to be in there for the next, at least 12 to 15 years.
I know it's
We
needed.
want to-
It's
You have
right.
to do it right.
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 That's correct.
Needed, so.
Any other comments before I call the question, please? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor? Passes 3-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Last item is a discussion item for our monthly statement. Francis.
Commissioners. First up, we have the balance sheet. On page 1, I would like to note that last month the audit was approved. So I was finally able to change my comparison column to the information as of June 30th, 2021. With that in mind, I would like to bring just a few items to mention. Under current assets, we have an intergovernmental receivables as of June 30th at 1.1 million, and it's 0 is in October. That was the GFA draw requests for pay-apps 4 and 5. It was work done prior to June 30th. We just didn't receive the funds till after June 30th, and we had to book a receivable and reverse it out. Also, the interest receivable, it was at 135, and it's down to 67. We've reversed half of that. It's based on 6 months of receivables on our investments, because interest is paid every 6 months. So we've reversed out half of that. The other half will be reversed out on December the 31st. Down to capital assets on our fixed asset amount. I would like to note under the capital assets, it says fixed assets net of depreciation. You'll notice those numbers are the same. Depreciation, I have not run depreciation since June 30th until the audit was complete. Last year I ran July and August depreciation, and when the auditors needed to pull some more information, having moved into the new fiscal year, it kind of made things difficult. So I held that off until the audit's complete, so I am working on catching that up now. So it will be back up to date for November's statements.
And so regards to the total capital assets, we're currently reporting 149 million, and do you want to venture to suggest what direction that's going?
It'll go up a little. We don't have a lot of capital assets to book for the last 4 months. It's mostly just the depreciation has not been recorded.
Right.
So it's
Right, so the net effect would be,
minimal.
okay, thank you.
Our construction in progress total for October 31st is at 28 million. We've done almost 7 million worth of progress since June 30th on that. At the bottom of the page, long-term debt, again to mention, the long-term portion of bond payable is at 43. That includes the new bond issuance. Page 2. For net pension liability, I would like to mention that we separated the inflows from the net liability. It had been a one-line item, but we didn't want to separate it because it is separated on the financial statements put out by the audit. And I would also like to note that the $300,000 payment toward our net liability has already been recorded. We've already paid that out, and GMABS has already received those funds. So that brought our liability down from 2.8 to 2.5. Page 3. or summary revenue. We are currently almost $700,000 over budget, projected budgeted for our revenues. I will note that other income is about $127,000, and that includes rental income on the former CVS building and some scrap metals. Overall, we're a little over $300,000 with our net operating revenue. Page 4 is our expenses by division.
Excuse me just a moment.
Sure.
Regarding our revenues being significantly over budget year to date, any thoughts about that?
We are above where we were this time last year by $250,000. So Andrew may be able to answer more to
We are
that.
coming up. December, January tend to be a little lower months, so it, there's some fluctuations throughout the year. But we are ahead of schedule from last year at this point.
Right. So is this more of a timing issue or a local economy roaring back?
I think it's a good sign for the local economy, particularly the water usage we've been seeing on St. Simons with the tourists has been very strong. And we've also, not so much the month of October, so to speak, but with the amount of irrigation meters we've got out in the system has went up substantially in the past year. So a lot more water usage for irrigation than what was previously being used.
Okay.
What
Thank you.
about,
We're hoping the new meters are also contributing.
yeah, pretty sure new meters too. What about, there are customers who didn't pay their bill because of COVID or because of issues with the economy and so forth. How is that affecting us?
Well, we allow customers that got behind due to losing their job due to COVID or something like that. They're on payment arrangements, and so their water's still on, so they may contribute. If their monthly bill is usually $35-$40, they may be paying $60 to us a month, so $20 a month towards that to get that balance paid off. So we work with our customers to work in that. Now, the revenues are when they're billed, not when they're collected. So that wouldn't necessarily impact this year's revenues as much as this year's cash flow.
Okay.
Well, that's
And-
where the bad debt line.
Yes.
I was looking at that too.
So we're under-collected from budget on that, but that's only 23K.
Right.
So it's pretty small in terms of variance
Right.
year to date.
Right, see that.
And again, as he spoke, sometimes we have heavier usage, but our budget is allocated 1/12 each
Sure.
month, so.
I will say, and it will backfire on me, but the bad debt should go down a little bit this month because we had a very large customer that apparently got some wires crossed and didn't pay for a couple months, and so kind of skewed it a little bit. Called over to the guard check though and got that check cut that day.
Yes. Any other
Continue,
questions?
please.
All right. Page 4, expenses by division. And again, it has already been mentioned about supply chain issues, lead times on orders. So our departments are being proactive in placing purchase orders. We're at $1.4 million. Some of that is capital, some of it is, a big portion of that is the replacement influent for VFDs at Academy Creek, whatever that might happen to be. I just got it from the purchase order there.
I offered to take Miss Francis around, but
One
kind of
day, yes.
heavy construction going on there right now. She doesn't share my enthusiasm for belt
As long as
presses.
it's not a smelly day, yes. And I will note, outside of your, the purchase orders, we are less, it is $1 million less from our budget to our actual. It is the purchase orders that have kicked us to over budget on the expenses portion. A note at the bottom for capital improvement fees, we are kind of even where we were last year on our capital. And that is water and sewer for all districts. We're at 496, we've had income of $496,600 there.
Another sign, again, of a strong local economy, because last year was one of the best years we've ever had as far as capital fee sales. And for us to be even a little ahead of that this year shows a lot of strength in our economy locally.
On to page 5, supplemental schedule of cash balances. If you'll notice the elective reserves, the investment accounts have increased, and that is the contribution to that $10.5 million that we moved into short-term investments. Page 6, the bond trustee reserves, again, that $15.6 million is the result of the bond issuance, and those funds are sitting in the construction fund waiting. At the bottom, I did add the summary last month that just gives you a little summary versus the detail at the top of where we stand with our overnight cash versus investments. Any questions? On to page 7, project reports. Again, we've had almost $6.9 million of movement on our capital projects, on the projects for this fiscal year, mostly on project 702, 906, and 2011. The rehab is at 2.3. North Mainland, 2.3, and a little over $1 million for the lift station skate upgrades. And no real comments on regarding page 8. Any questions or comments?
The statement looks very strong, indicative of great operations and planning. Commend you, your team on that, Andrew. Francis, thank you for the report. Again, with a $66 to $67 million construction program, execution is quite good, and it's indicative by the project management indexes that you continue to track and report to us. So I'm quite pleased with where we are year to date on this.
All right, thank you.
Commissioners, any other comments?
None for me. No, sir.
Andrew, anything else?
No, sir.
Okay, we're good.